Hi everyone, Miss Fox and I are ready to begin. Are you ready? Before we start, I want you to think if you have sorted and classified anything recently. The other day, I sorted books on my bookshelf. I sorted them into two groups. One group that I'm going to keep and one group that I'm going to give away. I wonder if there will be any sorting and classifying in today's lesson. Let's find out. But before we do, I will pour myself a cup of tea and I will meet you at my desk. Today is another day of graphing. Did you know that graphing is one-to-one correspondence? For every object we see, we mark one square in our graph. It's pretty easy to do now, and later on it will get more challenging. To try something new, I thought we can make graphs using sticky notes. Before we can graph, we have to find out what we're graphing. So in my basket, I have a bunch of objects. What is the first thing I need to do? Did you say I need to dump out my objects and sort them? You're right. Let's dump out our objects to see what colors we have. I have my objects. Now let's sort them by colors. I have my orange, my red objects, and my green objects. So I have 3 piles to sort. For every object I see, I'm going to use one sticky note. My graph is going to go straight up the table. You can make your graph like mine on the floor next to you, or you can stand up and make your sticky notes stick on a wall and your graph will go up. Let's begin. I'll start with my orange. So I have one block. So for every object I see, I'm going to put one sticky note. I have a second block. And I have my third orange object. When I'm all done, let's put our objects at the top so I remember what color they're for. Let's do my reds. I have one train, a second red train, and I have 2 red bears. So I will put a second square for my second red bear. There, and my red objects are at the top. Now it's time for my green objects. I have one green bear, a second green bear, and I have 3 transportation vehicles. So let's put 3 squares. 1, 2, and my last one, 3. And let's move our green objects to the top of our green row so we know what we're graphing. Look at my graph. Tell your teacher what you notice about my graph. What did you say? I know. Let's start by seeing how many of each color we have. Just by looking at my graph, I can tell that I have 3 oranges because I have 3 squares. I have 4 reds because I have 4 squares. And I have 1 more, so I know this is 5 squares. So I have 5 green objects. Can you think of a sentence you can tell your teacher about my graph? I have one. There are more green objects than orange objects and red objects. What else can you say about my graph? I have another one to help you out. There are more red objects than orange, but not as many red objects as there are than green objects. And one more sentence. Can you come up with one more way to read my graph? I have one. There are the least amount of orange objects than any other object in my graph. There, we did it. We worked together to make a graph, and now I want to give you some ideas of what you can do at home to make a graph using sticky notes, or maybe make a graph on a whiteboard like we showed you in other lessons. How about the shoes? Can you set a timer for 1 minute and run around your house and pick up all the shoes you can grab and then graph your shoes? Or your teacher can set a timer for 2 minutes and run around the house and pick up as many objects of different colors, like I did, and you can graph the colors your teacher brought you. Or do you have Lego characters or stuffed animals? Maybe you can grab your animals in Legos and graph those. There's so many ways to graph. I want you to have fun with it. Wow, Ms. Fox, we did sort and classify today. As you go through this week, pay attention to when you sort and classify. I wonder what you will discover. See you next time.